Hi everyone, I'm Tanya, and today I'm going to show you how to make some graham cracker gingerbread houses, so you don't even have to bake to try to make gingerbread houses with your kids. This is my very first video tutorial. My cousin Carrie got to make gingerbread houses with me last year on Thanksgiving, and she said it was such a success that she wanted me to do a video tutorial for her. So I'm going to show you my method. I'm sure there are a lot of different methods. If you do want to make regular gingerbread, which is one thing that I like to do one big house every year, I do have a really good recipe that tastes fantastic but is strong enough for construction, so you can look at my website if you want to get that video, and I'll give you all that information down in the link below. I'm not quite sure how to do this since it's my first video. So what we're going to do is we're going to make gingerbread houses out of graham crackers. And I like to do these on Thanksgiving because it kind of gives the kids something to do, and some adults like to do it too. While you're either making dinner, kicking back, watching football, whatever it is that you are doing. Sometimes adults like to get in the action too, so go for it. And it's fun to do and pretty easy as well. So the main ingredients you're going to need are graham crackers, obviously. We're going to need some cream of tartar, some baking soda, and a big bag of icing sugar. That's enough, or confectioner sugar, powdered sugar, whatever you want to call it. That's what's going to go into our icing. And we're also going to use egg whites. Now you can use just egg whites out of a shell, crack the eggs, separate them, and just use the whites. When I'm using this for royal icing, I prefer to use the pasteurized egg whites that come in a carton. They're totally safe to eat. You don't have to cook them. You're not going to get sick from them. If the kids are licking their fingers and things, it's fine. So I like to use this carton. Plus, they're just so easy. I don't have to make a mess separating the eggs. I'm going to show you a really quick trick. A lot of people will tend to have cream of tartar and only use a pinch out of an entire container, even though it's a small container. I happen to find this one all the way at the back of my spice drawer. I have no idea how long it's been in there. They say they're good for about 3 years, but I'm going to show you how to tell if it's good. Basically take some warm water, that's warm, put in a little bit, maybe a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar. This is just to tell if that cream of tartar that's at the back of your pantry or spice drawer is still okay to use. Mix that into the warm water, and now, oops, I see some settled at the bottom. Let's get that mixed in. Now just take some baking soda. I just take a good pinch and drop it in, and you're going to watch through the reaction. I don't know if you can hear the bubbles, but it got carbonated, almost like when you shake up a beer a little bit or something like that. So that's all we're going to use the baking soda for. Now I know that this cream of tartar is good. I did that same test on this little one before I started, and it fizzed a little bit, but not much, so I'm going to throw that one out. Okay, next step to making our gingerbread houses, or the next ingredients, are going to be, first of all, you're going to want to have something to build your houses on. You can use paper plates because most people have those around the house, or a lot of people do. Cheap, inexpensive. Everybody can just, toss them whenever the houses get old. I like to use cake rounds. These are pretty inexpensive. You can get them at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, anywhere you want to go shopping. And I don't spend a whole lot on them, but they're a little bit more sturdy than a paper plate. So that's what I'm going to use today. If I'm doing, like I said, last Thanksgiving, 15 houses, I think we use paper plates because that was a lot. You'll also want to have a variety of candy. There's all kinds of candies you can put on there. The only limit is your imagination. I've got Reese's, because who doesn't love a Reese's peanut butter cup? Marshmallows, you can use large ones or minis. I think minis are fun because they can, kids will put them on their roofs. I think that's one of the things people like to use is the roofs. I've got some Skittles, lots of nice bright colors. Sometimes you can even get those Skittles or M&M packs that are just green and red or certain colors. Some people like to do every color in the rainbow in their house, and some people try to go with 1 or 2 colors. Completely up to you and the kids. Sour Patch Kids, I have to be careful with these because I love sour candy and I'll eat the whole thing. But these are great to put on the little walkways next to the doors, sometimes peeping out a window if you're daring and want to try to cut a window into it. You can also use Teddy Grahams. Those are great as people. I've got some little chocolates, some gumdrops. These are great. I see the kids will use these to make walls or fences around the outside, all kinds of different things, or their little walkway. I've got Junior Mints here. This is something else that I'll eat a lot of because chocolate and mint. And Twizzlers. Twizzlers are fantastic. These are the pull apart and share ones. These you can use whole if you want to, or you can even tear these apart. Sometimes they don't tear real easily. You kind of got to do it slowly, but you can get these nice long strips that the kids can use to either tie a bow on a wreath or make a little, what do you call them, garland on the side of the house or the door or anything like that. So these are fun too, and kids actually will come up with things. You'll be so surprised at the things that they come up with. So cupcake tins are a great way to present the candy and to keep them from spilling over, because even if they're messing with them, they're not going to tip. You can put all the different candies in individual bowls. I have problems though with those either getting tipped over, dumped, broken, things like that. So cupcake tins are awesome. You can just get a couple, put them out there, and go for it. Now to make your icing, I've already made one batch to get us ready, but you're going to use a full bag of powdered sugar or confectioner sugar, icing sugar, whatever you want to call it. Full 2-pound bag. You will be using a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Put that into the bowl of either your stand mixer or into just another bowl, and you can use a hand mixer as well. You don't have to have a stand mixer to do this. I find it's just faster and easier, and I can do other stuff while it's whipping. So pour your powdered sugar in there, add your cream of tartar, stir it up, or maybe just turn it on with the whisk attachment in there to get it to mix together. And then once you've done that, you can add your egg whites. Now you can separate eggs and actually use the egg whites from just a whole egg. You would use about 5 eggs in that case, but I don't like to go with just the raw eggs. They're not, a lot of times they're not pasteurized. Sometimes you don't know when you pick them up at the store, especially if you send your husband or somebody else to go get them. They may get the wrong ones. So I recommend always using pasteurized egg whites, and that's the great thing about these containers is they are pasteurized, and they are all egg white. So you use about 5.5 ounces if you're going to use a carton of egg whites, and you'll just pour that right into the bowl with the egg whites. When you start mixing, make sure you turn it on low at the beginning just so you don't get the powdered sugar everywhere, and then you can turn it up a little bit higher as you go. Like I said, I've already made a batch. I'm going to turn it up. Give it one more good whip together so we can start making our houses. So royal icing will take about 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes on high. You can see how thick this is. It's not even going to come off the beater, which is perfect because this is what we're going to use as glue. So you want it to be thick and ready to go. You basically whip it until it is thick and glossy and pure white. It might start off to have a little bit of a yellow tinge, and that's kind of because of the egg whites. Even though they're called whites, I know they go yellow. But once it whips long enough, they'll turn white. And then always keep a little plastic wrap. I just push it right down onto the surface of my royal icing because this stuff dries quickly. So I push that down in there and just set it to the side while I cut up my graham crackers. So to make our houses, we are going to need 6 graham crackers per house. I'm going to show you how to cut them up. Basically, you're going to want to have 2 side walls, and you can come up with your own design for this. You can come up with your own, cut them in whatever way you want to, but you're basically going to have 2 side walls, and you're going to also have 2, one for each end, that have the A-frame. And then the 2 full-size graham crackers are going to be your roof. Now I'm going to show you how to get the right proportions on your graham crackers so you know where to cut these. So let's get our 6 graham crackers, 2 for my roof, 2 for my sides, and 2 for my front and back. You're going to use a serrated knife. You want to make sure that you have the serrated kind because it helps to not break your graham crackers when you're cutting them. So what I like to do is go, you know how graham crackers have these little holes in them? I go to about the second set of holes on this one side. So I'm going from the end and I'm going to cut right along that second set of holes right here. What you do is you do not push. You just set the knife on top and just gently saw back and forth to create a little bit of a cut, and then you just keep going gently without pushing because otherwise you'll snap it and you'll break your wall. When it gets to a certain point, it will just pop off. Keep these because you can use them for all kinds of things. You can cut them in half and make them into a door. You can make them into windows. The kids will eat them, whatever, but I never throw away the extra pieces that I cut off. So there's my first sidewall. I've made it just a little bit shorter. Now I'm going to take my second sidewall, put that one we just cut right on top, and that'll be my guide to help me cut the second one. Gently sawing, not pushing, pops off, put it over to the side. Okay, so now we're going to cut the A-frame pieces. In order to get the A-frame piece cut in the right place, you're going to want to take your sidewall and the piece that's going to be your A-frame, so you've got a full piece, and you can stand them up. I find it's easier to just lay them down. So this is my side, this is my front. Basically, I want them to meet right there at the same height. So I'm going to just cut this one down at the same place I did that last one. In the same way. Make it just a little shorter. And now I'm going to mark. I'm going to put this on this white board because it might make it easier for you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to mark. I've got this line going down the center, and then I want it to meet right there. So I'm going to put my knife right there where it's going to cut. Let's score it just a little bit. So I'm lining up my knife with the top of the sidewall and the top of that cracker. So once I've made just a little bit of a score, I can move it out of the way and do the same cutting motion to get rid of that top. So still got to cut one more side. So place the sidewall on the other side and do the same thing. I'm going to go from this top to the sidewall so that they're the same. They're going to meet at the same height. And this is going to make it easier to put the roof on. So score it just a little bit. Move your sidewall out of the way so you don't mess it up. And there we go. We have a sidewall. When you stand these up now, you can see how where you just cut is the same height as the top of the sidewall. Now take your last cracker, put your sidewall that you just cut right on top of it as your template, and go ahead and score it gently, never pushing, till it pops off. Turn it and cut the second piece. And there we go. So now we have sidewall, sidewall, and two front walls, plus we still have our roofs over here. We're going to get to those in just a second. So you can choose how you want to put on how you want to use your royal icing. You can use a Ziploc bag, and when I give it to the kids, that's what I do, because I don't want to go through 1,000 piping bags. Put however much you want in here, cut off just the very, very tip, and they'll be able to squeeze it out. You can color it in different colors, make different bags of different colors, or you can just use one piping bag. So I'm going to just use one piping bag. Let's go ahead and get some royal icing. Open this guy up. You really don't need a lot. I usually tend to put way more in there than I actually need. But you're not going to want to thin your icing. You see how thick that is. You're going to want to keep it like that for putting together your houses. Put a good amount in there. Looks like I'm going to make a nice little mess the way I did that with the top. Okay, squeeze it down. I do have air at the bottom, but we'll get there. It's all right. Okay, now grab your scissors. I'm learning, guys. First video, I'm learning. And I really just cut off the tip of it. I didn't want to make a real big hole, and now you'll be able to squeeze that icing all the way down. Okay. Give it a little twist. I like to wrap it around my finger because it makes it easier for me to hold on to, and grab your board. So you might want to decide how far out you want your houses to be. Some people like them right in the middle. I like to kind of put them towards the back of one of these pieces, and I'm going to put some icing right along the bottom edge. And I'm going to go ahead and do the inside of that edge as well. Just stand that guy up right there. See how strong that icing is? Now take one of your A-frame cut pieces. You're going to put, now I like to put the house, the front, on the inside of this piece. So instead of putting it in front of it, I'm going to put it next to it. So first I'll put some on the bottom of the graham cracker that's going to touch the board. And I've already put some on the inside of that graham cracker. Now I'm just going to stick them together. So easy. This icing never fails me. So let's put this one on here. Squeeze a little on there to hold this guy together. Perfect. Last one. Put some along the bottom. Now, if you wanted to make a really big house, you could. But what I would do if you were going to make one that was further apart than those pieces, I would put a third one of these in there, because that would give you some extra support here in the middle to keep your roof from falling off. Now, I like to let that sit and harden for a bit. If I were making a bunch of houses, I would make all of them to this point and then stop and let them harden. Really, by the time I make 10 houses, I can come back to the first one and put the roof on. For now, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here and then put the roof on in just a minute after this hardens up so that it doesn't slip off or fall or anything. And we are back to finish up our house. We have let this guy sit, probably 5-10 minutes is really all it needs, but the longer the better, because this stuff is it's going to set up hard enough that you can actually knock into it and things the way kids would, and it's not going to fall over. So we're going to take our royal icing, we're going to add the roof now. We've got 2 full-size graham crackers. I like to pipe right on to the edges, and I kind of do a pretty thick coating there, especially on this edge here along the sidewall, because that's going to help to hold up your roof. Let's do one side where we're going to put this 1 graham cracker, and then we are going to, you kind of want to make sure it's hanging a little bit past the front and a little bit over the back. So you've got overhang on both sides, and it'll line up with those points. It's also going to sit on that side wall, and that extra icing there is going to help hold it on. Now I'm going to do the same to the other side. This icing is nice and thick, so you can probably see my hand shaking because it's dried a little bit while it's been sitting in that bag. I'm going to put a little here along the top as well. And when you have icing, sometimes it kind of spills over. You kind of get globs of it in places. I kind of think that looks like snow, so it's totally fine. You're going to do the same thing with this one. And of course, we have icing there in the middle that's going to help hold the 2 roof sections together. Just gently press. You don't want to push too hard. Push too hard, you're going to end up breaking them. Now, if you really want to get that glued together, you can put a little extra up here. Kind of do it in a zigzag ruffly pattern maybe. I'm going to do this to make it kind of look like it's snow hanging off the edges. There we go. So we've gotten a snowstorm. You can also do this to the front if you'd like. Have a little bit of icing hanging over, and when it's really thick like this, it's the best time to do that because it's not going to go anywhere. except for where you put it. So I did that to the front. I'll do it to the back of the house as well. There we go. So it kind of drip off. And if it drips, if it falls, that's what snow does. So let it go for it. There we go. Now we've got a house that just needs to sit for a little bit before the kids play with it and put all their stuff on it. You can see there's tons of room for them to decorate. If you want to add doors, windows, trees, that kind of stuff. A lot of people will use ice cream cones, cover them with icing. That'll look like a tree. I also borrowed some kids to decorate one here while we were letting that first house set up. These trees are just a little piece of a graham cracker that I cut into a triangle, put a little green icing on there, and then stood them up along there. The whole roof was covered with snow. We've got crushed graham crackers make the pathway. We've got snow all over the ground. We've got a little snowman made out of marshmallows there. So you can see all the different kinds of fun stuff that you can do. On the back, there is a Reese's Pieces that was turned into a wreath. Kind of slipped down a little bit. We didn't let it dry before we moved our brace. But that's it. It's as easy as can be. You can make a bunch of these. They don't cost very much. They're super easy to put together. And then they sit on your table and kids come and grab pieces of candy here and there for days just to have a little piece every once in a while. And like I said, when you're done with this, you can just throw the whole thing in the trash because you don't even need the base anymore. Super fun activity. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any tips or pointers, if you have questions, I would also love to answer those for you. And I'm hoping to maybe do a few other videos. So if there's anything that you'd like to see, how to make or how to bake, let me know what you'd like to see. I'm thinking about putting together several things on yeasted breads, cakes, cookies, you name it. Creme brulee, one of my favorite things. So I just thought everybody asks me how to make these things. I might just start putting together some videos. So let me know what you'd be interested in seeing. Thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.